John Bolton, former United States ambassador to the United Nations. Mr. Ambassador, it's nice to see you. The news yesterday broke the death of Yahya Sinwar. That was historic, by the way, and obviously impactful. This was who Hamas was following. What does this mean for Israel right now, and how does this change the makeup of the ongoing war?
Well, I think it's a very significant development. Obviously, Sinwar was the commander on the ground of Hamas forces in Gaza. Their political leadership is safe elsewhere in the Middle East, in Qatar, in all probability, where they've been for many years. But this is a major step toward Israel achieving its stated objective of eliminating Hamas's political and military infrastructure. And I think that is important in what the real war is here. The real war that's been happening since last October 7 is not Hamas against Israel. It's Iran against Israel. And as Prime Minister Netanyahu said in the clip you just showed, the terrorist infrastructure that Iran has created is being systematically destroyed. So I think the next big step is what the Israeli government decides to do in retaliation for the October 1 Iranian ballistic missile attack on Israel. And I think we can expect that literally any day now. I don't think they should withhold simply because they got Sinwar. It's different aspects of the same war. And Iran itself, for all the terror and horror that it's imposed on Israel and on the population of its own terrorist surrogates, hasn't paid any price for this year's worth of barbarity, and it's about time they do.
Control room, we'll go to question 3 on this. I wanted to play this for you. As you well know, I'm curious to know your response to the Biden-Harris administration and how they've been handling the Israel-Hamas war, Israel fighting with Hezbollah in Lebanon. There were many calls for a ceasefire over and over, again, time and time again. There was even a call to stay out of Rafah, which is where the leader was taken out. Here is the Vice President Kamala Harris speaking to Israel on staying out of Rafah. Watch this, sir.
We have been clear in multiple conversations and in every way that any major military operation in Rafah would be a huge mistake. Let me tell you something. I have studied the maps. There's nowhere for those folks to go. It would be a mistake to move into Rafah with any type of military operation.
They have been wrong time and time again in terms of the strategy by Prime Minister Netanyahu, the IDF. The IDF continues moving into Gaza, eliminating the threat of Hamas, not adhering to calls for a ceasefire by this administration. And then they have this outcome of taking out Hamas's leader, despite all the calls from this administration. Do you have any criticism for how this is being handled by the Biden-Harris administration?
Well, I think they've mishandled it from the very first day. They have never been willing to admit the real strategic picture is that Iran has, over decades, armed, equipped, trained, and financed Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, Shia militia in Iraq and Syria, terrorists on the West Bank of the Jordan River, to create this ring of fire strategy around Israel. And by the way, against the Gulf Arab states as well, if they chose to do that. And so this whole argument that somehow Israel has to limit its right of self-defense because, in this case, Hamas is the one committing the war crimes by using its own civilian population as human shields. And if you say that strategy by Hamas is allowed to succeed, you are creating what I think the administration has created, which is a terrorist veto. Now, the Israeli government chose not to accept that veto, and they went in and, as you pointed out, it constantly warned not to go into Rafah, and yet that's where Sinwar was, because that's where he had the most human shields around him. And one other point where the administration has said repeatedly, you don't need all these Israeli troops in the Gaza Strip. You can use intelligence to continue to go after Sinwar and others. From all we can tell, and we don't have all the details, but it looks like a little bit of luck entered into the equation here, and some trainees in the Israeli military found and engaged Sinwar and a few of his friends. What that shows is that a persistent Israeli military presence in Gaza is critical to taking out the Hamas terrorist threat.
Information, truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.